Welcome back to my channel. Today the tension between Steffy and Hope reached explosive new levels as emotions, rivalry, and long-standing resentment finally boiled over in dramatic fashion. For weeks, unresolved frustrations had been building beneath the surface, with both women struggling to maintain control while competing priorities and emotional conflicts pushed them closer to confrontation. However, everything changed when Steffy decided she was no longer willing to remain silent or tolerate what she viewed as Hope's manipulative behavior. Determined to protect her family, her position, and her future, Steffy struck back with fierce determination, setting off a chain of emotional consequences that nobody could ignore. At the center of the growing conflict was the complicated history shared by Steffy and Hope. Their rivalry had never been simple. Years of betrayal, jealousy, romantic competition, and emotional wounds had created deep divisions between them. Although there had been moments when they attempted to move forward peacefully, underlying distrust always seemed to resurface whenever tensions increased. This latest clash proved that old resentments were far from resolved. Steffy had become increasingly frustrated with Hope's recent actions and attitude. From her perspective, Hope constantly positioned herself as innocent while quietly influencing situations behind the scenes. Steffy believed Hope often avoided accountability by appearing calm and sympathetic, even when her choices created emotional chaos for others. As pressure mounted within the family and business dynamics became more complicated, Steffy's patience finally reached its limit. Rather than continuing to suppress her frustrations, Steffy confronted Hope directly in a heated exchange filled with emotional intensity. She accused Hope of crossing boundaries and interfering in matters that no longer concerned her. Steffy's anger reflected more than temporary irritation. It came from years of feeling that Hope repeatedly inserted herself into situations that disrupted lives and relationships. This time, Steffy made it clear she was prepared to fight back instead of backing down. Hope was visibly shaken by the intensity of Steffy's confrontation. Although she attempted to defend herself, she quickly realized that Steffy was no longer interested in excuses or carefully worded explanations. The emotional confrontation exposed the fragile state of their relationship and highlighted how little trust truly existed between them. Every unresolved issue from the past seemed to resurface at once, turning their argument into something much deeper than a simple disagreement. Steffy's determination to stand her ground revealed a more aggressive and protective side of her personality. She felt that too many people had underestimated her willingness to defend the people and relationships she cared about most. In her mind, Hope's actions represented a threat not only to emotional stability but also to the future she had worked hard to build. That belief fueled Steffy's confidence during the confrontation, making it clear she had no intention of retreating. Meanwhile, Hope struggled to process the emotional force behind Steffy's accusations. Part of her felt misunderstood and unfairly targeted, while another part recognized that some of Steffy's frustrations were rooted in genuine pain and insecurity. Hope attempted to maintain composure, but the confrontation clearly affected her emotionally. Being placed under such intense scrutiny forced her to question whether some of her recent choices may have unintentionally contributed to the growing hostility around her. As the conflict escalated, another shocking development unfolded involving Electra. While tensions exploded between Steffy and Hope, Electra unexpectedly stumbled upon Information that could potentially change everything. Her stunning discovery caught her completely off guard and left her questioning what was really happening behind the scenes. What began as an ordinary moment quickly transformed into something far more serious once Electra realized the significance of what she had uncovered. Electra's discovery appeared connected to secrets that certain individuals had desperately tried to keep hidden. Initially uncertain whether she had misunderstood the situation, she carefully examined the evidence in front of her. However, the more she looked into it, the more convinced she became that something important had been concealed. The realization sent shockwaves through her emotionally because she understood the potential consequences if the truth came to light. The timing of Electra's discovery could not have been more dramatic. With emotions already running high between Steffy and Hope, the revelation threatened to intensify existing conflicts even further. Electra found herself caught in a difficult position because she understood that exposing the truth could create chaos for multiple people. At the same time, remaining silent carried emotional and moral consequences of its own. Electra struggled internally as she considered what to do next. She knew the information she possessed had the power to shift relationships and expose hidden motivations. The pressure weighed heavily on her because she feared becoming entangled in emotional drama she never intended to enter. Yet she also understood that withholding the truth might allow deception and manipulation to continue unchecked. While Electra wrestled with her dilemma, Steffy remained laser-focused on confronting Hope. Their rivalry intensified as neither woman appeared willing to fully back down. Hope attempted to explain herself and defend her intentions, but Steffy viewed many of her responses with skepticism. To Steffy, Hope's calm demeanor often masked deeper emotional manipulation, making it difficult for her to trust anything Hope said. The confrontation between them became increasingly personal as painful memories from the past resurfaced. Old betrayals, romantic conflicts, and emotional disappointments all returned to the surface during their heated exchange. Both women carried years of emotional baggage, and those unresolved wounds fueled the intensity of their argument. Neither was simply reacting to the present situation, they were responding to a long history of resentment and heartbreak. Steffy's frustration also reflected her fear of losing control over important aspects of her life. She had fought hard to build stability for herself and her family, and any threat to that stability triggered strong emotional reactions. Hope's presence in emotionally sensitive situations often reignited Steffy's insecurities because history had shown how quickly relationships and trust could unravel. That fear contributed to Steffy's fierce determination to push back aggressively. Hope, however, felt increasingly isolated as accusations continued mounting against her. She sensed that no matter what she said, Steffy had already decided to view her as the villain. That realization frustrated Hope deeply because she believed her intentions were more complicated than Steffy acknowledged. Although Hope understood why certain people distrusted her, she also felt unfairly blamed for situations involving multiple individuals and emotional complexities. Electra's discovery added another layer of suspense because viewers quickly realized the information she uncovered might dramatically alter existing relationships. The emotional stakes rose significantly once it became clear that hidden truths were beginning to surface. Electra understood that whatever she decided next could have lasting consequences for everyone involved. At first, Electra considered staying out of the situation entirely. She had no desire to become the center of explosive family conflict or emotional confrontation. However, the weight of what she discovered made it increasingly difficult to simply walk away. She worried that silence could ultimately hurt innocent people while allowing others to continue manipulating events behind closed doors. As Electra processed the discovery, she also began reevaluating her understanding of certain individuals. Information she once accepted without question suddenly appeared far more suspicious. That shift in perspective created emotional confusion because it forced her to reconsider relationships she previously thought he understood. The discovery not only threatened external relationships but also challenged Electra's own judgment and instincts. Meanwhile, Steffy continued refusing to let Hope regain emotional control of the situation. She demanded honesty and accountability, making it clear she was tired of emotional games and half-truths. Steffy's assertiveness reflected her growing confidence and determination to stop allowing others to dictate the emotional direction of her life. She no longer wanted to react passively while situations spiraled around her. Hope's emotional defenses slowly began cracking under the pressure of Steffy's relentless confrontation. While she initially tried maintaining composure, the emotional intensity eventually became overwhelming. Being forced to revisit painful memories and defend her choices left Hope emotionally vulnerable in ways she had not anticipated. The confrontation exposed just how fragile certain emotional wounds remained despite the passage of time. The emotional contrast between Steffy's fiery determination and Electra's quiet internal struggle created compelling drama. Steffy openly confronted conflict head-on, driven by anger and protectiveness, while Electra wrestled privately with the burden of dangerous knowledge. Both women faced emotionally difficult situations, but their approaches reflected very different personalities and emotional instincts. As rumors and suspicions began spreading, the atmosphere surrounding everyone involved grew increasingly tense. People started sensing that hidden truths were on the verge of emerging, creating anxiety and uncertainty throughout the entire situation. Relationships that already felt unstable suddenly appeared even more fragile as emotional pressure continued mounting. Electra's discovery also raised important questions about loyalty and responsibility. Should she reveal the truth regardless of the damage it might cause? Or should she protect certain individuals by remaining silent? The moral complexity of her dilemma made the storyline especially compelling because there was no easy or painless solution. Every possible decision carried emotional consequences. Steffy's battle with Hope similarly explored deeper themes of trust, insecurity, and emotional survival. Beneath the anger and accusations was a woman terrified of history repeating itself once again. Steffy feared losing the people and stability she valued most, and that fear fueled her aggressive response toward Hope. While some viewed her actions as harsh, others understood the emotional pain driving her behavior. Hope, on the other hand, represented someone struggling against perceptions that seemed impossible to escape. No matter how much she tried defending herself, she often found her motives questioned and misunderstood. That emotional frustration became increasingly evident as Steffy continued attacking her character and intentions. The emotional intensity of both storylines created powerful suspense about what might happen next. Would Electra reveal the truth she discovered? Would Steffy and Hope's conflict spiral even further out of control? And could any of these fractured relationships survive the emotional fallout that appeared inevitable? As events continued unfolding, one thing became clear. Secrets, resentment, and emotional wounds were pushing everyone toward a breaking point. Steffy's fierce retaliation against Hope demonstrated that she was no longer willing to quietly tolerate situations that threatened her happiness and security. Electra's shocking discovery, meanwhile, threatened to expose truths capable of changing multiple lives forever. Ultimately, the combination of Steffy's emotional confrontation and Electra's unexpected revelation created an atmosphere filled with suspense, vulnerability, and explosive tension. Every character involved found themselves forced to confront difficult truths about trust, loyalty,